remember those nightmares we used to have when we were kids? Sometimes they follow us into adulthood. I buttoned my shirt up wrong. And that could be one of them. I used to have nightmares about showing up to school with no shoes on. Sometimes I even showed up without any pants on. Not sure what those anxiety dreams were about, but they were real and they were terrifying. Well, I'm a woman of a certain age now, and my nightmares, my anxiety, my stress, it's born out of different substance now. For a long time, it was public speaking at work, especially if the job was new, and I wasn't completely 100% solid in what I was talking about because it was a new company, new job. But now, as a woman in her late 50s, looking for retirement, some nights I wake up in a hot sweat, and not for the reason women my age do, but because I have had a dream that I did retire. Now that's good. But after a few short years, I'll run out of money. Every now and again, it's the stock market crashed. I got overextended with a house. I helped out a loved one who promised to pay me back, and they were just unable to do it. Terrifying, terrifying. I can't let that happen. Okay? I only want to do it once. Don't want to retire more than once. If I choose to keep working, and it's more than a fair chance, I'm going to continue doing my content and my books and the other things I'm enjoying as a creative outlet. But as life moves on and I get closer and closer and closer to that wonderful ship that's coming to dock, I am taking some appropriate steps to ensure, God willing and the creek don't rise, that I don't run out of money. So the very first thing I've done is I've identified exactly what my current expenses are. I know how much is coming in. I know how much is going out. If I end up making anything from my side hustles, that's not part of the equation. My equation are the hard, tangible things. My current income, current outgo. Now, am I living more extravagant than I have to? Of course I am. Of course I am. I work hard. I like to indulge in an occasional electronic. But I do most of my clothes shopping at thrift stores, except for my undergarments. Those I get fresh and new. But I do the occasional splurge. Can I tighten the belt? Of course I can. And I'm prepared to do it. I've done it before. There's been many occasions in my life that it's down to rice and beans. Not just because I was paying off debt, but because things were lean. My industry goes up and down, and about every cycle there is going to be a layoff. So there's things I've done to ward against that, but we're talking the forever need for money. So, excuse me, pick something out of my eye. And so the things that I'm doing now, budget, know exactly how much I need to live. And then I'm looking at when I retire, how do those numbers change? Well, I'm no longer going to need the excessive gas money I need to do my 180-mile round trip commute every day. I'm not going to need dry cleaning, what little of that there is. I'm not going to need new professional clothing, thank goodness. There's a lot of things that I'm not going to need. Biggest income bucket that my money goes into is retirement. I am in that catch-up phase. So not only am I contributing what is usual and customary toward retirement, I'm doing the extra, piling it in there, taking advantage, making hay while the sun shines, getting while the getting's good. That's what I'm doing. So when I retire, I'm no longer having to contribute to those retirement accounts. So that adjusts how much money I'll need in retirement. Now, I want to retire before 65. And if I need to take my Social Security before then in order to keep the wolves at bay, I'm prepared to do that. I'm not counting on Social Security as part of my retirement equation. When it happens, whatever that amount is, I will embrace it and I will add it into my plan. But until that point, I consider myself independent, self-funding. So with retirement for 65, there's going to be a health coverage cost. And I have begun looking at what the policies may cost me in today's dollars. Also, I understand that come next round of calendar months, it's going to increase. So that has got me curious as to what that's going to look like. There's a couple of different avenues you can take as an individual who is needing health insurance prior to 65. There's the health exchange, also previously called or currently called by those Obamacare. Then there's also the private issued insurance. And this is where traditionally you would go shop an insurance policy with the different health insurance providers. It's two different tracks from what I understand. You can definitely look into this more yourself. I am not an expert on retirement or healthcare. I'm just simply letting you know what I'm doing. So I've looked into both. I've gone to the health exchange and punched in my information and come back with some quotes. I've also shopped private health insurance. The exchange insurance is guaranteed regardless of pre-existing condition, but you are going to, I don't necessarily say pay a premium, but the price structure represents the guaranteed regardless of pre-existing condition for everybody it covers. And then on the private insurance, it can eliminate you based on pre-existing conditions. However, they have qualification rounds. I don't know if you remember back in the day, your parents shopping for insurance, and there'd be physicals and questionnaires and things they'd have to fill out. Well, that's still in the private insurance. So that's one of the ways I'm preparing. But how am I going to prevent myself from running out of money? Does not matter how big my starting amount is. We have all had lean times in our lives. We all know what it's like to batten down the hatches, tighten the belt, etc., etc. I don't want to live forever in retirement to that extreme. I am prepared, but I personally work with a financial advisor. I'll tell you what, send me an IM or a comment, and I'm happy to give you his information. I found him off of the endorsed local provider, SmartVestor, link from Dave Ramsey's website. So you can go there yourself independently and find somebody that you're comfortable with. Talk to them, interview them. It's no charge to you. If you don't resonate with them, if you don't get along with them like you would a buddy, or they don't necessarily make you feel like they have a heart of a teacher, move on. Find somebody else. There's going to be somebody in your area. But I work with a financial advisor who has the expertise to advise me, not force me, advise me on where my money should be sitting for my long-term goals, and also what the forecast looks like for my money lasting into retirement and for how many years. Nobody knows how long they're going to be retired. Some of us think to 90 and 93. That's what me and my husband are currently planning for. I'm going to outlive him by 3 years. I'll miss him from age 90 to 93. But there's a statistic that the average American male, when he retires at 65, has about 17 months before his first major health event. That's scary because we are all working to get to that age so we can retire and enjoy ourselves. With that said, your money needs to last the length of time to which you assume it will. So work with somebody, crunch the numbers, things you can start doing now, things I'm doing. I'm already downsizing. There's stuff in my house and in my life that I am not ever going to use again that I can liquidate now and put that money into a retirement fund somewhere. That's way number one. Number two, side hustles. There are a dozen ways each one of you could go out and make some more money. It could be something as common as being an Uber driver, a DoorDasher, a personal shopper, a Instacart shopper. You could be a babysitter. You could be a pet sitter. There are just dozens upon dozens of ways. But a lot of us, most of us, have some sort of skill that we have used over and over and over again in our life to make money, usually in our jobs, that you could use as a side hustle, a consulting type of situation, a electronic product situation. And by situation, I mean you could create an electronic course, a workbook. Perhaps you're a school teacher and you specialize in a certain type of educational approach for children with special needs. You could be a tutor. You could create worksheets, etc. You've got a lot of intellectual capital that you could monopolize on or capitalize on. So, do you bake? Is that something you could do? Do you bake dog biscuits? Oh my goodness, organic, all natural, grain-free dog biscuits? There's an idea right there. So with that said, there's ways you can start shoring up your retirement savings now before you retire, but those are also ways to produce income that could follow you into retirement if you enjoy them, okay? You're not required to continue working after retirement if you can support yourself. But just like you've done your entire life, you have to do what you do in order to live and to support you. Definitely keep that in mind as you move toward retirement. retirement. If this is resonating with you, I have got lots more videos on retirement and preparing for retirement, especially for women after 40. If you've got somebody in your life who needs to hear this, share this video, like, subscribe. Not only do I talk about retirement, I talk about a lot of things in life for people our age. We, Gen Xers, women of a certain age, men of a certain age, but we're all headed down the same road. What does that look like? Are we ready for it? In the description, I'm also going to have some prompted journals, some of my own items that I've put together to help you begin thinking about what to do, how to do it, what retirement's going to look like beyond the money. Retirement's the rest of life. Are you ready mentally and emotionally for that? Additionally, if you've never done a budget in your life, I've got a free budgeting worksheet for you. You have to become the master of your own money. I will see y'all in the next video. Like, subscribe, come on back.